You're listening to Inside the Locker Room with Wimp and Barry Sanderson on Tide 100.9 in Tuscaloosa.
Games up on Arizona atop the NL West. Diamondbacks did keep pace with their 6th win in a row, beating the Red Sox 7-5. NL Central leading Brewers lose to the A's 4-3.
Inside the Locker Room with former Crimson Tide basketball coach Wimp Sanderson and his son, former SEC and ACC assistant basketball coach Barry Sanderson. It's time to take you inside the locker room on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
And good morning. Welcome into a Monday edition of Inside the Locker Room. 205-342-9904 is the phone number if you'd like to get in on the show with us this morning. The X accounts at Locker Room 109, at Barry Sanderson, at Wimp Sanderson1. And the email address for the show is wimpandbarry@yahoo.com. Download the app. And now you especially want it, so get that app on your smartphone. Send us an app message today. Let us know your thoughts. Let us know what you think Alabama's record will be after this 6 o'clock on on Saturday. No more predictions on the season as far as the record because the season will start. So go ahead and send us a app message on what you think the season, the regular season, will turn out to be. 12-0, 11-1, 10-2. Vegas has them at 9.5 over under. So would you go over or under 9.5? I think that with Alabama, the safe bet would be over, but maybe Vegas knows something. Yellowwood pressure treated pine from Great Southern. Guys, if it doesn't have the yellow tag on it, then you don't want it. Go to yellowwood.com to find the dealer that is closest to you. You can build the fence, the deck, the pergola, the backyard. So we appreciate Yellowwood. Go to yellowwood.com to find the dealer that is closest to you. All right, Dad, on the bright side, I do remember this. Last year, you missed your exhibition game, too. I took a lot of abuse for your blue plate on Saturday night. They were calling it a paper plate. But you're still 0-0. That was exhibition. But good morning. How was the weekend?
Oh, it was okay. I do want to say this, but I don't want to get off to a sad start, but I do have a real feeling for the young man, Caden Hiller, who lost his life as a quarterback in Selma. Saturday, his parents have announced that he passed away. Can you imagine hugging your son to go off to be quarterback for a football team, and when you come back to he was airlifted to the UAB hospital. It was a brain injury. Can you imagine driving as fast as you can from Selma, following that plane to go and to lose your son? And I don't want to be on the sad side, but I've thought about him all weekend.
Yeah, me too.
And I said a prayer for him last night. Tough time for those people. Winning blue plates and losing games and doing this and what you think about this and what you think about that. Death comes to all of us at one time or another. But this young man was a wonderful young man. He had dedicated his social life. He'd given his body to be used, and certainly didn't hope it happened that much. So anyway, to his family and to his mother and dad and all the family, Barry and I and our little silly show that we have is thinking of you and so sorry. On the bright side, I guess if there is a bright side, Keegan Bradley won $3,600,000 and moves on. He's a tough-minded guy who really played well. Nick did not get the chance to win $142,000, did not move on. Justin had already left. They didn't know whether he was going to be in or out. He got in. He won $102,000. And Tom Hope, who we don't talk about too much, won $5,344. So, and the other golf thing, Stuart Sink, who was a graduate of Bradshaw High School in Florence, won the the senior tour event and won $330,000 for. He's been a very, very great player. Of course, he won the real Open overseas one time and beat Tom Watson in the playoffs. So, congratulations to Stuart Sink on that. I know in the Florida State loss, people are on Florida State, and the big thing, Georgia Tech said that they worked on plays that Florida State did every day in the dressing room or out there dummy, every day from the time that they played up. They were ready to play and got the thing in the position to win it, and the kicker did. The Braves lost 5-1 to the Nationals. Aaron Judge hit, we don't talk a lot of baseball, but Aaron Judge hit 50 and 51 yesterday, which is awfully good. How about this one? Babe Ruth called a home run in the World Series game in 1932, even a long time ago, and that jersey is still here. And the jersey sold yesterday for $24 million, a little over $24 million, I believe it was, and I believe that's correct. And what a player he was, and what a jersey that is. The Ravens offensive line coach passed away. He got sick about 2 weeks ago, and was feeling bad. He went home yesterday, or went home prior to that, and yesterday he passed away. So we've got, thinking about people that really didn't know him, but the other thing really bothers me a great deal too. Max Howell will be on our show today. He'll be on every Monday, starting at 7:30, and of course we'll have Doug Bell on the second hour. We welcome your calls, your thoughts, and anything that you want to say about the game. The Blue Plate was a failure because I did not do a good enough job on finding out that they had 53 transfers over at Nevada. I didn't realize that quarterback came from, and so I don't know if I'd have changed it or not. It was a terrible game. The penalties were awful. SMU was cheap shot at them all the time, and the flag was thrown after every play. Just about, I don't know how long. I finally turned it off. I knew I'd lost. I knew I'd lost in the first quarter, but certainly I hated that. I got off to that kind of start, and I guess I need to do a better job of. They're very hard to pick. I've looked at them for this coming week, and they're not easy. So we'll try to find one that somebody so get us back on a win track. But that was the big thing for us, is that they had all the transfers in there and played well, and I missed on it, so it's my fault. That's it.
Yeah, but that's the exhibition. So this real week this week, I felt bad. Not bad. I didn't feel good for you when Doug Bell texted me that he loved the pick.
Yeah.
That was a kiss.
I saw his pick, and his pick was terrible, and I was thinking to myself, his pick, if you covered 9.5, New Mexico covered against Montana State, and of course, and I'll be honest with you, I did not know who to pick. I had felt like I was going to pick Tech, and I felt, I thought Florida State might win it. I didn't know who to pick in the Florida State Georgia Tech game. I just didn't. And I felt like that SCU would come in there ready to play with a good offense and good. They came in with a bunch of ragtags that weren't ready to play. And of course, Nevada didn't have a big crowd there, but they had a brand new team. From what they had been last in their deals for the last 2 years. They'd only won 4 games in 2 years. I thought it was a decent bet, but it certainly wasn't.
Yeah, we'll see. But even the game day crew, everybody picked Florida State to beat, and they didn't even have to use the points. And so the early you don't know. Brent Key kept telling his players, I told you. So I think he had been telling his team that they could knock off Florida State. One of the things I don't like about this time of year, I love this time of year, though, is people, I told you couldn't play. So DJ Uiagalelei took a ton of abuse. I'm not laughing about him taking abuse, but everybody wants to get on X and criticize the kid and say, I told you he was no good and he couldn't throw. And He wasn't any good at Clemson, so unfortunately, this kid took a ton of
They got off to a
abuse.
great start, Barry.
Yeah.
They jumped right through them, went right through it. It looked like it was going to be a good start. It was a good start. They just couldn't maintain.
One of the things I'm hoping, guys, and we won't know this till the end of the year, is an article on ESPN.com, and it's written by, hold on a minute here, I'm scrolling back up, and I hadn't read the entire article, by Jake Trotter, and it's about Ohio State when Michigan won. Ross Bjork was just coming in. He had a meeting with Ryan Day, and basically they spent $20 million in NIL money. So they're trying to buy a championship. So I hope they don't win it. I hope it shows that they went and got Alabama defensive back, got the running back from Ole Miss. They got the center from Alabama. They got Chip Kelly coming in. So they're trying to buy a championship. If they are successful, then there'll be more people trying to buy championships. $20 million spent in NIL there. So I'm hoping that he does not win. All right, game day. Your thoughts, Dad? I know you don't like McAfee, but I think he brings out a new side in Saban a little bit. Saban kind of handled him, but you would think Saban would be rolling his eyes at him, but Saban up there, I thought he did a good job, good analysis. I thought he was very honest. He said, and Alabama people relax. He said that Auburn, to him, would be the most improved team in the SEC, and people get all bent out of shape about that. I mean, good God, that just means they were horrible last year, and they haven't improved. What's your thoughts about Coach Saban being on game?
I thought he was fine. I thought he did a good job. The guy next to him I don't care for. I think he's probably does his homework and knows who's good and who's bad and those things. I just don't care for him. He's a showboat as far as I'm concerned, but other people like him, and that's what counts. What I say doesn't mean anything. But I thought Coach did a good job. I thought it was a very hard job. He makes a lot of money for it, but I think it was difficult to the way you put your words. They jumped on Herb Street. The way you put your words out, because anything that you say as a former coach, a former successful coach, is going to be printed or put out, and they're going to do everything they possibly can to make something big out of something small. Just out of opinion, they're going to really wear that out. So you have to be careful. But I thought he was fine. I thought that they did a good job on that. I don't want to jump off what you're talking about, but can you imagine that Ohio State is playing Akron this week and it's plus 50? You almost want to take Akron.
Yeah.
I don't understand that.
I think the communication, the helmet seems to help these teams as well.
Yeah. Plus 50?
Yeah, 50. That's like, don't mess with those kind of games.
I'm not going to.
People were said, why did your dad pick these high lines like that? And I don't know. But but even just picking a winner.
Well, they could have bet the other way. They could have gone against me.
Yeah, they could have. Well, one guy was saying when SMU was struggling, these guys have a way to do it. They said, live bet it, because the line had gone down to 17.5. Live bet it right now. Load up on SMU, and of course, if they did that, then they still.
Well, the other problem I've got too, Barry, is that the line changes on that. I'd rather give the line.
Well, no, we gave you what the line was, so it didn't change on you.
But it changed.
Well, that ain't got nothing to do with what you do. It was in your favor because you had it 25. Yeah, but you had it at 25.
Well,
they only had to win by 25.
I'd rather do it on Fridays.
But it doesn't matter. You had it at 25, and it went to 27 and a half.
I understand that, but I'd rather do it on Fridays.
So, all right, 2-minute truck at 1330 Martin Road East. That's where you go pick up your boxes, your packing supplies, whatever you need to make this a smooth move. It's local, out of town, out of state, no problem. Let the professionals handle it. They'll take great care of you and your stuff. Give them a call today, 205-247-5050. 2-minute truck movers who care.
Labor Day is 1 week from today, and travel officials are expecting another record-breaking long holiday weekend of travel. AAA says the best times to avoid high traffic levels are after 11 a.m. on both Thursday and Friday if you're leaving early. AAA is projecting a 9% increase in Labor Day weekend travel over last year. Click TuscaloosaThread.com for more local news, sports, and weather coverage. It's absolutely free. Don Hartley, Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Well, things are not doing too badly around the area. We do, however, have that busy intersection delay, as always, on McFarland at Lurleen Wallace. And you've also got some heavies on 32nd Street. This concerns me right now. Moving in that westbound direction, just west of McFarland, or make that Lurleen Wallace Boulevard. Definitely some heavy slow goes there. With your Tuscaloosa traffic now, I'm Tammy Thomas.
Road tripping, business travel, or bringing your car in for repairs. All great reasons to rent a Toyota at Tuscaloosa Toyota. You can rent the latest Toyota models for a day, a week, or a weekend. Every Toyota rental car comes with 24 hours roadside.
Provide you with the lowest possible price. Come experience the Urban's Working Western Home Team Service today. Tell them Van the Boot Man sent you. Roll Tide.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
This will be one of the hottest weeks so far this summer. The sky mostly sunny today, the high 95. Clear tonight, the low 69. Tomorrow and Wednesday, very hot. The sky partly to mostly sunny with highs between 97 and 100. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9.
Your home for Alabama Crimson Tide football. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back to Inside the Locker Room. Pressure treated pine from Great Southern. If it doesn't have the yellow tag on it, you don't want it. To the Yellowwood Hotline, get is this Ty or Tom?
Tom.
Hey, Tom. They put Ty, but I thought it would probably be Tom. Good morning, buddy. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good. How are you this morning? Good morning, Coach. How are you?
We're good.
Okay. You know, the game Saturday was interesting. I thought there was a lot of things to digest about it. Coach, one thing that I kept thinking about that you said last week, and it just turned out to be true, was what a good coach Coach Key is. But that entire staff, I thought, was on spot or spot on Saturday during that game. They did a fantastic job. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think so. I think they were ready to play. I think it was a big thing. They were a little bit of an underdog, which really helped them being an underdog. But they played hard. They played smart. And anytime you got a field goal kicker like that, you got a chance to stay in the game. And they did so, even though they got down, 7-0 early. I thought they were terrific.
I thought that they did a good job with Hayes King, the transfer from A&M. I thought that kid. He showed something to me Saturday in the game, and the way they managed him to get him to play like he did, I thought that was outstanding. But both teams were good. I thought Florida State showed some good stuff. The Coach Key, though, being an offensive line coach most of his career. That offensive line dominated Florida State's defensive line.
Yeah, it sure did. They were good.
The only thing I worry about, I think Haynes King, he was MVP of the game, but he's not real elusive, so he takes a lot of shots. I don't see how he makes it through a season.
True, he didn't at A&M.
With the hits that he had. Those guys that run, like Milroe, you can't touch those guys. They're so fast, and they can get in and out and get out of bounds. That game right there, boy, that was a physical game for that quarterback. Hopefully he can stay healthy, but man, I don't know because he does.
I don't need it, but I'd say this
he played great. He played great, but the season will take its toll on him.
To your point, though, defensive line or defense, against somebody like Jalen Milroe, you better be in control when you rush. You better not be going all wild and everything, running past him and everything. He'll drive you up the wall with that. But the second thing I wanted to bring up, and when Matt comes on, I think it would be interesting to get his take on this and y'all's. I want to hear y'all's take. The transfer portal was on display to me Saturday. Florida State lost a lot, but they took in a lot of transfers and built their team. Georgia Tech, to me, brought in a lot out of the portal, and but they did a better job evaluating than I thought they did. And then Coach, like you said, Coach Key had them ready to go Saturday when they played.
Yeah, the transfer portal is big and it's very difficult.
It's going to be big.
Yeah, it sure is. It's hard. It's hard to figure.
You know, you said last week, though, you said, I don't know who to bet on because I don't know who's where anymore. And by God, that's true. That's going to be the thing this year.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy, that's for sure. But people, they think they got all the answers. I don't. When I give the blue plate, if you don't like it, you need to go the other way. So that's the best way.
I'll tell you what, that game was great. And then that next game, Nevada, not Utah, UTEP,
New Mexico.
Yeah, New Mexico. Gosh, and now what a great game! What a great game that was. No, New Mexico got beat.
It really was.
They won that. They had 9.5 points.
Oh, you're talking about the line? Yeah, I didn't know what the line was on because that was a 1AA. So I didn't.
Did Coach win the blue plate? Did Coach win the blue plate?
No, we did not win the blue plate. We took SMU minus 25. Huh?
Oh.
So.
Oh, okay. I thought he bet with the Florida State game, but he went with SMU.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. I thought SMU would come out ready to play. The other team had been in the bottom for the last 2 years, but they got 53 transfers.
Nevada.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Yep.
So, anyway, should be a fun week, Tom. Look forward to talking with you about it.
Yeah. All right, buddy. Take care.
Sir.
Thank you.
All right, back up to the Yellowwood hotline. Get Philip in. Good morning, Philip.
Good morning, gentlemen. Good morning. Yeah, it was a great 3 great games. I thought Nevada's defense was. I couldn't believe how good they were. Of course, like we just said, they had 53 transfers, but they played a hard hitting style of defense, and they were, SMU was very lucky to win that game. Made a nice comeback to win at Florida State. I thought there were a few play calls I thought Norville made late in the game that I thought hurt. There was a 3rd and 7 play where they called a running play, and Georgia Tech snuffed it out. I think he'd like to have that over. But I thought Georgia Tech played a clean game pretty much. They ran the ball. Nothing fancy. It was just either a quarterback keeper off the right side or he'd give it off to one of their running backs. And I think FSU underestimated Georgia Tech's running backs and the speed they had.
Yeah, and it did, like you said, it was a clean game. A lot of times, first game, you have some turnovers. I don't think either team had a turnover. And I was very impressed with the pregame stuff, all the fans that traveled over there from both schools.
Yeah.
I had no idea that many people would go over there, Philip.
Yep, sold out stadium. And I'll tell you the thing about that game that was interesting to me was after 62 minutes of football action, there was only 3 minutes left in the first half. But then it took 25 minutes to play that last 3 minutes in the first half. So that game was moving along at an extremely rapid pace. I was interested to see the 2-minute timeout rule. The clock, when Georgia Tech went ahead, that clock kept rolling. Clock kept rolling. Yeah. And it really cost FSU right there at the end. I thought the quarterback, I didn't see any glaring deficiencies with the communication from the sidelines to the quarterback. And as a matter of fact, I really like that rule now because now you don't have those coaches over there and the sidelines doing all these crazy hand signals up until the very last second because now you can't do it.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. In the second game, though, Montana State was not using it because they said when we get into our, I guess the 1AA is not using the green dot and all. So he said it's not going to really help us. We got to get used to what we're going to play with, and when we get into our playoff, so they did not use it in the game. So.
Well, fortunately for them, they didn't need it because it sounded like that game was getting played underwater. I mean, there were not that many people at the game, really. No. But, you know, the Nevada, that is a scenic environment for a game. Beautiful out there. Yeah. And it was 46 degrees. 46 degrees.
Nevada, it was always hot out there. Las Vegas.
Well, it gets cold at night. You know, when the evening starts approaching in the desert, it gets cold as rip.
Yeah. It was cold. So.
I think it's going to be a great year. I'm looking forward to it. Atlanta's going to be a hopping place Saturday, man. You got Georgia at Clemson at noon, and then you got the Battle of Atlanta at 8 o'clock. You got Tech and Georgia State that night. That ought to be a fun night to be in Atlanta.
Yeah, should be a great week. It's going to be hot. So, well, they won't be there at the indoors, but it'll be hot here in Tuscaloosa. Thank you, Philip.
It's going to be hot. See y'all.
All right, we'll take the break here. We'll get to Max Owl. I'll bring Max in with us. We'll talk all SEC football with Max. This is Tide 100.9 and 1230 AM WTBC. It's the home of Alabama sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Well, things are not doing too badly around the area. We do, however, have that busy intersection delay, as always, on McFarland at Lurleen Wallace. And you've also got some heavies on 32nd Street. This concerns me right now. Moving in that westbound direction.
Great ideas can happen right now. Find out how to bring your ideas to life at Dell.com. Welcome to Now.
Mr. SEC Tournament Wimp Sanderson gives you his excellent analysis every weekday on Inside the Locker Room, right here on Tide 100.9.
Welcome back to Inside the Locker Room. We got Max has walk up. I think it's Running Bear. I don't know. He has to walk up music. We got to figure out what that is. Because every time we have Max, we have certain music on. Maybe Max can remember what that is. But let's get right to the Yellowwood hotline. Go to yellowwood.com to find the dealer that is close to you. This is always my favorite time of the year, and that means football is right around the corner. Of course, it's already started, but we get to bring in the former assistant coach at Florida State, Ole Miss, joins us every Monday during football season. Max Howell. Good morning, Max. How are you, my man?
Hey, Max. Doing great. Hey, guys. How y'all this morning?
We're good.
You told me yesterday that you had lost at Florida State your opening game, and tell our listeners what happened.
Well, you know, what I saw this past Saturday was the same thing, Coach.
What did y'all do that year? We started off number one in the country, had all kind of prelim stuff. We fly to Miami. It's the opening ball game. It's a late ball. It's an 8 o'clock ball game, and we get hammered. I think part of that, goes back to the coaching staff. We didn't do a very good job preparing those kids for a game that we should have won, to tell you the truth. Bottom line, though, is that we came back that night, and we had a good long wake-up session. Let's call it that. A practice, I used to do that. Yeah, go ahead.
You know what you got to do, Coach? You got to get their attention. And of course, we went 11-0 after that. Finished third in the country. Let's see, Miami won it, I believe. Notre Dame won it that year, and Miami was second. We were third. So what I saw, though, was really lack of preparation. The kids didn't line up right. They missed tackles. They overran the play. But listen, I'm not taking anything away from Georgia Tech. By their own admission, when the last game ended last year, I heard an interview with Brent Keys later that he said that they worked on getting ready for that ball game at least one session every day of practice for 8 months. And I think it showed. And I don't think the talent at Georgia Tech is as far down as they have been. I think they've improved that. The defense was terrible last year. The offense was very good.
but I look for them to have a better than reasonable season this year.
Yeah, thanks.
Max, obviously everybody's excited about football here in Tuscaloosa, and it's a new era. Coach DeBoer's come in, and very easy to like. Just a really good guy, very approachable. Brought his own, his own ideas in, doing a lot of things, practicing in the mornings, which is different here. Just kind of talk about from afar. You're not that far. You're over in Mississippi, but what you've seen with the change from Nick Saban to Kalen DeBoer.
Well, it's going to be a complete change, guys, from everything I've read, even down to having music in the dressing room and all that other stuff that I know that Coach Saban probably didn't do very much of, if at all. And they lost a bunch of kids. They lost the secondary, basically. Got one returning starter, I believe, in the secondary. And by Coach Saban's own admission, that's where they're going to have to really work on. Melrose should come back and have an outstanding year. The offensive front probably will be. I'm still a little concerned about number 74. They brought him back from Iowa. He was the left tackle last year. And they got beat a lot of times on the left tackle on the sacks. That's what they gave up 33, I believe, this season. But I think they're going to have a good year. I can't see them. I think it'll be probably them in Georgia for the SEC championship again. But I like Georgia in that. And I heard Coach Saban say Saturday he liked Georgia as well. Not only win that, but probably win the national championship. But it's a different era. It's a different time. Coach DeBoer's had a great track record everywhere he's ever been. I was fortunate enough to coach at the same level he had in those in my early part of my career, and we won big in there too. But people don't understand. You can win big at that 1AA at the Division II level, and you win national championship. But when you get to compete for national championship with the big boys, guys, the whole program is different. It's different kids, it's different responsibility, more pressure. It's just a lot of different things. So I'll be really interested to see how he handles that. His personality is probably geared for that.
Yeah,
he's been too successful not for that to happen. Been too many different places. But I'll be interested to watch.
Yeah,
I don't want to jump too far away, but it's of interest nationally, I guess. Colorado. He's run players out and in. It's an unbelievable. Yep. It's unbelievable transfer portal deal. Never in the history of football has anybody seen quite like that. Some of the coaches have left. The defensive guy left and went to Auburn. Is he a scatterbrain coach, a scatterbrain guy? Where is he trying to get Colorado off the map?
Coach, he's trying to doing everything he can. I think any way he knows how. Let's put it that way. Remember, he's got limited experience coaching. Coached a couple of years in a high school that he created in Texas. Then he jumps to Jackson State here in Mississippi and does pretty well. But he recruited well. Then he got the number one kid in the country playing defensive back and wide receiver. And he's got his son as a quarterback. So he put together again back at where he was before he got to Colorado. One big, you can do that with just a couple of good players. You can't do that when you get to the next level or the top level. So I think he's still guessing, and trying to pull in. But a lot of his personality is that he believes so much in what he does that he almost in his mind he thinks he can will that to happen. I think he's going to have he's going to get a wider weight before he gets through coaching.
Yeah. All right, Max. Let's talk a little SEC. Ole Miss. Let's talk about Ole Miss. Lane Kiffin's, the people say he's got the best roster he's ever had over there. Even Coach Saban said, they've always had the skilled guys, but now they got the defensive line. They look like an SEC team. It seems like he's matured a little bit as well. Is this the year for Ole Miss? When I say this is the year, Atlanta, is that a possibility? Will they make the college football playoff? Will they be in that Final 12? What's your thoughts about the Ole Miss Rebels?
I agree. I think they've got the best opportunity they've had in a long time. Here's the thing they don't have. They don't have a consistent history. You go back in the 60s, they had those kind of teams. Johnny Vaught did a magnificent job in relationship to what else was going on. But Lane's kind of got to play catch up right there, and he's doing that. This next team, I'll be really interested to watch them play Of course, remember that they got an avid fan base, but it's small. I mean, that stadium doesn't seem to 65,000. I've been using more people in the Grove, or as many as it is in the stadium. So they don't have a great home field advantage. Is I guess the way to say that. He's done a great job. I did hear another report. I believe there are 21 kids on that roster right now that could probably transfer and make it to the pros in some form. So he's going to have talent. He's going to have depth, and that's something Ole Miss has never had. It depends on circumstance. I think, they can't get Jackson Dart can't go down. He's got to play. They got a couple of guys behind him. The Simpson kid will probably be number 2, but his dad's a coach at UT Martin or somewhere, Austin P or somewhere over there. And I thought he'd have transferred back and played for his dad, but he didn't. So bottom line is I think Ole Miss has got a chance. They won 11 last year. I think if they could duplicate that again this year, Lane Kiffin will go down in history. They'll build a statue for him over there. I think more than anything else that he'll get his publicity. But guys, he's paying his coaches. They jumped him up to 10-5 this past year. And I don't know where they get the money from, but evidently they are. Their NIL collective is doing very, very well as such. I'm surprised they lost the Junkie kid to Ohio State, though. That kid made a lot of difference, and I think he's going to do well at Ohio State as a running back. But I don't know how they'll replace him. I'm sure they got numbers without a doubt. But it's going to be a throwing ball game. You know that they're going to line up with 3 or 4 wides and throw it every snap 40 times a game probably. And I think that's going to be his approach. So overall, I think he probably can stay in the probably the top 7 or 8. He's going to lose. I think he'll lose to Georgia at home, and he'll lose probably one more somewhere along the way. Getting them up every week to play at the level they have to play now, and with all the publicity Ole Miss has gotten, that's going to be a challenge for them every week.
Yeah, that.
Mississippi State comes in with a brand new coach. They've been changing since untimely death.
Right.
Offensive-minded guy who people feel like that bring the spectators in really and make a more home field advantage for them because they're going to do a lot of things, work for Lane Kiffin and different people. Yep. Mississippi State got a chance to be decent. It's going to be hard, isn't it?
I think it's going to be tough, Coach. I think if they win 6 this year, I think they ought to give them a raise. Because even though the talent level is as good as they've had at Mississippi State, but staying consistent, they're young kids. Look, if they go 6-6, you're going to see a bunch of transfers, I think, also at the end. And by the way, I hope their rumor is they're going to change that transfer rule to where they can't transfer in the spring only, after the fall season. I think that's a good move to start with. But back to Mississippi State, their fan base is pretty realistic. The guys I know, because I visit with them a lot, and they are realistic. They're hoping to break even if they can this year, and maybe get an upset or 2 along the way. But they aren't expected to do, any more than they have actually in the last couple of 3 years. I don't think they'll get back to winning 8 or 9 ball games. I think it'll be 2 or 3 years. If now with the 2, with Texas and Oklahoma coming in, and the strength of schedule is picked up for everybody, it's going to be hard for them. It's hard to recruit to Mississippi State. I recruited against them for several years, but I'm just telling you, that's a hard goal to get enough. I'm not saying they can't get a few good players, but getting enough, because to win at that level, you got to have them. You got to have a whole. You got to have a barn full of players that can play.
Does it surprise you that LSU's going to Southern Cal and LSU's I think 6.5, 4.5?
Well, it's in Vegas. The game's in Vegas.
They play in Las Vegas. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, they play in Las Vegas. Yeah, I think. Yeah, but I think it's a great playing Southern Cal there. I think it's a great national publicity for them. But you remember the last 2 years they had won that opening ball game. They lost to Florida State 2 years in a row in the opening ball game, and they got better. And they without their Heisman Trophy winner quarterback, they don't have a kid like that. I've seen the kid play. Nussmeier, I believe, is a guy that's going to take over. His dad's coached in the NFL for a long time. So and they had a great recruiting year. They changed everything they had on defense. I know that, players and coaches as well. So that was a downfall from this past year. So I think we'll see. But look, when they play in the SEC, guys, you know they're going to come to play. Particularly if you've got to go down there to play and play a Saturday night game. LSU's going to probably win that one most every time.
What about the A&M Notre Dame game? That game's at College Station, I think.
Yeah, it is.
Right, it is. Yeah,
that's it's a tight game, 1.5 points or something. I think they'll be good defensively. But comment on that game.
But the Notre Dame thing is always a mystery to me. I mean, because they do very well. So they pull the quarterback. Got the quarterback from Duke, I believe, to come into play. So how good that transfer will be, I don't know. But I like home field advantage. If Kyle is going to be a big deal. Yeah, and I think I like Notre Dame. I mean, I like Texas A&M in this one with Elko. I think he'll be a lot more fundamentally sound than they were with Jimbo out there. So I like them. I like Texas A&M in a close ball game, but I do think they come away with a good win.
Yeah, I hope.
All right, the biggest game Saturday morning, right off the bat, Clemson, where Dabo, he's being disrespected a little bit. He's not taking transfers. The line is 13.5. Georgia's got their quarterback back. Just your thoughts about that game, and that 13.5, is that number too big there, Max?
I think it is. Georgia. I think Georgia this year can line up and run the football. And I think Carson Beck could be probably. I think he's projected already to be the number 1 pick in the NFL draft, but that's because of the team. Kirby's done a great job putting that together. I like opening up like that. You know, all the rumors we hear every year about Dabo. Dabo just needs to stay at Clemson and stay right there and stay there till he retires. Because he can do very well in the ACC, playing year in and year out. When we watched Florida State at the quarterback situation there, we know why Clemson kind of stumbled when the kid was up there, because I didn't think the kid could play with Clemson. I don't think he can play now. But the fact is, I think their recruiting will pick up if the word stays that Dabo's going to stay. And I don't understand why he's so adamantly against the thing about taking transfers. I think the alumni eventually, if he loses a few games every year, the alumni is going to get on him pretty hard.
Yeah.
Now, whether he transfers or not, I don't know. I mean, he changes jobs or not, I don't know. But the fact is I love opening the season with games like that. I don't know anybody. I haven't seen anybody yet. If everybody plays at their level, Georgia's, I think, got a pretty good chance to run the table.
Yeah, Georgia currently 13.5 point favorite there. You know, when you start trying to talk about all the games, you had 2 more teams, Oklahoma and Texas.
That's right.
There's so many SEC games this weekend. And Dad and I have looked at Texas's schedule, and the SEC did them a pretty good favor. That schedule's not that bad. Well, Oklahoma's is pretty brutal.
Yeah.
I'm picking Texas to make it to Atlanta. They didn't put much talk about Texas over the weekend with the ESPN Game Day crew, but just talk about those 2 teams coming into this league and who will handle it the best.
Well, I think Texas has got their, with Sarkisian, I think they've got their program on track now. I think the years coming back as a quarterback, I think made a huge difference. They had him already transferred out because I pretty well know for a fact that they had promised Arch Manning by the second year he'd be a starting quarterback, and he's not. He's going to be probably number 2. But the fact is they've got some talent. And Sarkisian, I think, will put it together. And the only thing you can't count on is, if key players go down, if they get hurt, and with the schedules that we're talking about week in and week out, unless you got some depth, by the mid-season, you're going to have some top players get hurt. Because this will be a war on the field every Saturday. But in Oklahoma, I think that they got such a great storied history. I know a lot of it. I'm not going to say the production is going to be that way, They did a good job recruiting, but something about they don't seem to be able to finish. They come out with all the hoopla every year, but you notice the last few years, they lose a game they're not supposed to lose, and they don't stay consistent enough. I think they'll be a huge addition to the SEC. I mean, I've looked at the financials, and they talk about when they start divvying up the money at the end of the year. I think they were like 62 or 63 million this past year. They expected that in the next 3 or 4 years because of Texas and Oklahoma to go to $100 billion a school. Nobody else in the country, including the Big Ten, I don't think can top that. So, I'm happy to see those two come, but I think Texas has got the edge right now.
Yeah, no doubt.
Well, I don't really have anything else. Vanderbilt's at the bottom next to Mississippi State, 15, just in picks. Picks don't mean anything. I think the transfer portal hurts Vanderbilt because they can't get guys in school academically. And so I don't know, where they belong, but it's probably not good. Is that a program that's going to stay with it, you think, with this transfer portal the way it is?
Coach, I think it is. I think they realize where they are and what they are. And they add some quality to the conference anyway. But the fact is getting enough players, you're right, to come and compete. And if they can get 3 or 4 wins in the SEC as the strength of the SEC continues to increase, I think overall the university will be pretty well satisfied. I'll be interested I too pay attention to that. There's one other game you guys had mentioned I will really pay attention. That's the 2:30 ball game on Saturday with Florida and Miami.
Yeah.
I think that's for Napier. I think that's going to be a game that a lot of people around the country, in particular fans of the University of Florida, are going to pay close attention to. Miami's a favorite. I think that it started off at 3.5. I believe it dropped to 2.5 yesterday.
Yeah.
They play in Gainesville, and it's a 2:30 ball game. So should be a really, really good football game. And University of Florida picked up a ton of transfers now. Guys, they got some big old linemen, and they got some speed out on the outside and some defensive players. They changed defensive coaches as well. So I don't know where they can live though if they don't do better break even. Some of the Florida fans I've talked to said, yeah, they're going to keep it 1 more year regardless. But I don't know. You got two years back to back. You don't win half your ball games. I don't know whether Florida base will stand for that or not.
Well,
If Miami's, I don't think anybody's badly coached, but they don't seem to be able to get over the hump. That I've studied them some. They're really skilled. They got some better skills this time than ever. It's going to be interesting.
I think that. Yeah, I'm going to really pay really close attention to that ball game. But like we said, we got 3. You got Georgia and Clemson. You got Florida, Miami right behind that. You got Notre Dame and A&M. That's about as good a Saturday as you can have to start the season anyway.
Max, lastly, Hugh Freeze. He's recruiting really well right now. They're getting a lot of commitments. They pretty much have mopped up the state of Alabama. What's realistic to say how long it really takes for him to turn that thing? I think the over-under on wins this year maybe 7.5, but to get that thing up to 9 and 10 wins, would that take 2 or 3 years now, or 3 years?
I don't think there's any doubt about that, and I think you're going to have to stay to do that. You have to stay in the portal.
Yeah.
You can't. You can't count on those 18-year-olds to come in. Occasionally, you're going to get a superstar that can emerge out of that. But just put yourself in that case. Would you not rather have a 20 or 21-year-old that's already played it? And I know the downside. You got to make the adjustments. He doesn't know the system. He doesn't know the culture. There's a lot of different things about it. But if I'm recruiting and I'm looking at an 18-year-old versus a 20 or 21, I'm taking that 20 or 21 in a heartbeat if he's already played at that level. So, to answer your question, I think you're right on with 7.5 to 8. I think that they definitely need to get that this year, but I think it's going to take them probably another 2 years to get up to 8 or 9 wins.
So Bobby Bowden said, "Get your clothes off and get your pads on. We're going to practice."
Yeah, when the plane hit
that's what he did. And that was at 2:00 in the morning.
I've done that when I got beat at Auburn. I did that, Barry can tell you.
Pump up the footballs. We're having practice, Coach. We just played a game. We just played a game, Coach. Yeah.
Bill, and we didn't tell him till the plane touched down back in Tallahassee.
Yeah.
That wasn't his personality either, was it, Matt?
Coach Bowden just got up in the box and let us have it. He just let us take on that. And it was a lot of one-on-ones and a lot of drills in between.
I went in there to see him one time with Jimmy Rain. We had to go at a certain time, but he always brought his lunch with him. He didn't go out for lunch.
Yeah.
Is that right?
He'd had enough. When he did it, you knew he meant business. So,
no doubt. I mean, I'm telling you guys, it was, but I don't think anything's changed in that. Those old sayings, you got to speak to them in terms they understand. When you do that, they understand. I mean, this is for real. It's not just a TV ball game, where you can show your skills off. And a lot of kids, think that with all the publicity they get coming out now. Yeah. But if you, that's why I think Coach Saban did so well, and I still think those coaches that handle those programs like that, I think they have overall they've got a better chance in the long run if they keep their job.
Well, I talked with Robert Ory yesterday, barely like this, and it was his birthday, and he called me back, and he was a booger bear to coach, but I think he appreciated everything we did now a little bit more.
Yeah.
Good.
All right, Max, we'll figure out what you're cooking and all next week. We'll give you the cooking. We won't make you cook this weekend.
Great job, Max. Thank you.
We'll let you just watch football. You don't have to cook for us this weekend. Max,
thank you very much.
Look forward to football season. Thank you, sir.
I do. Thank you, guys. Talk next week. Okay. Bye-bye.
Max Howell. We'll
Good job today, boy.
Yeah. All right. We'll take this top of the hour break. We want to thank Yellowwood Pressure Treated Pine from Great Southern. Always remember, if it doesn't have the yellow tag on it, you don't want it.
Go inside the Alabama Crimson Tide with the Gary Harris Show.
Hey, everybody, it's Gary Harris. Monday morning at 9 a.m. on the Gary Harris Show. It's finally game week for Alabama football. We'll preview the Crimson Tide's opener against Western Kentucky with Rodney Orr from TiderInsider.com, plus Casey Smith on golf, your phone calls, and more. That's the Gary Harris Show coming out of a busy weekend, Monday morning at 9 a.m.
Catch the Gary Harris Show Monday through Friday, 9 to 11 a.m. on Tide 100.9 and Tide100.9.com.
Tide 100.9 Traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. It's a couple of red spots in the area, and we do have this accident on Old Birmingham Highway eastbound at Keens Mill Road. This is backing things up. And McFarland Boulevard at Upper Columbus Road, still getting reports of that fender bender, and that's causing some pretty slow and go traffic.
Now through December 28th, Castrol Edge and Edge High Mileage Motor Oil are on rollback at Walmart.
Claim based on sequence 9 test under high-load conditions versus API SP test limits.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
This will be one of the hottest weeks so far this summer. The sky mostly sunny today, the high 95. Clear tonight, the low 69. Tomorrow and Wednesday, very hot. The sky partly to mostly sunny with highs between 97 and 100. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9.
WTBC Tuscaloosa and W265CG Tuscaloosa, a Town Square media station. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
From the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles, here's Eddie Garcia.
In Major League Baseball games of note, the Yankees powered their way past the Rockies for a 10-3 win. New York slugger Aaron Judge belted 2 home runs, numbers 50 and 51 on the season. Third time in his career he's gone for 50 or more home runs in a single season. New York now a game-and-a-half lead on Baltimore for first in the AL East. Speaking of the Orioles, they lost the Sunday night game to the Astros 6-3. Alex Bregman and Yainer Diaz hit back-to-back homers for Houston as they have a 4.5 game lead on Seattle for first in the AL West. Guardians beat the Rangers 4-2. Cleveland's lead in the AL Central back up to 3 games on both Kansas City and Minnesota. Royals lost to the NL East leading Phillies 11-3, and the Twins fell to the Cardinals 3-2. Mookie Betts hit a 2-run homer in the 8th inning, helping the Dodgers beat the Rays 3-1. LA still 3 games up on Arizona for first in the NL West. Diamondbacks did keep pace with a 7-5 win over the Red Sox. Arizona's won 6 in a row. Brewers, the NL Central leaders, lose to the A's 4-3.
Weekday mornings at 6 a.m. The Martin Houston Show.
Join the Martin Houston Show for a Tuesday edition of the program. We'll add DC Capstone Report to the conversation. We'll continue to look at the SWOT analysis for this Alabama team as they head first into week number 1, and the Kalen DeBoer era. We'll also get your score predictions. We'll get players of the game candidates. Those conversations and a whole lot more right here on your home for Alabama Sports Tide.
Changes within just a couple of days.
Text support to 511-511.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Tax fees may apply.
Inside the Locker Room with former Crimson Tide basketball coach Wimp Sanderson and his son, former SEC and ACC assistant basketball coach Barry Sanderson. It's time to take you inside the locker room on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back to the second hour of Inside the Locker Room. Andrew Conifer, he'll help kick off this 8 o'clock hour for us. Andrew's Allstate Insurance agent. He's my agent. Give him a call today, 205-722-9201. Andrew will handle everything for you. He can put a quote together for your home, life, auto, whatever you need. He'll take care of that. Email it to you. If you have a situation come up, he'll help you through the process. He's done that for me several times. They're right at 4705 McFarland Boulevard, Suite 3 over in Norfolk. Swing by there today or give them a call. Once again, it's 205-722-9201 and tell them that Wimp and Barry sent you. Now, what is it about Nick Saban? You saw a lot of other SEC fan bases say, man, I really like this guy. Even Auburn people talk about how much they like Coach. Normally, like Ed Orgeron, of course, he left under different circumstances. When guys leave these jobs, still these fan bases don't like those particular coaches. But this guy beat everybody just about. And then, but the people seem to really like him. I think, as JC said, he belongs to everybody in the SEC. Now, what is it about him, in your opinion, that people seem to genuinely like?
Well, I think it's his personality. It's not overwhelming, and it's not underwhelming. It's
you put him on hold. Click him back in. Go ahead. I'm sorry we lost you there for a second.
When you're bright.
No, that's you're answering the wrong.
Success. There's so many times that people flaunt their success and show you what they've done. He doesn't do that, and I think he's just. I just think it's the mannerisms to answer your question. I know that's not a very good answer for some people, but I think that's the way it is.
Yeah, it just seems like that everybody seems to really enjoy him, and I think people think that he really wants what's best for college football and the kids, not only while they're playing, but when their playing days are over. And it's just not a lot of guys out there like that.
I think the biggest thing is that kind of publicity and that kind of feeling won't last through the season. I think he'll end up saying something that the media will get a hold of it and twist it or turn it or make something out of it, or maybe he'll make a mistake. But I don't think it'll last the entire time. I think he'll end up being somebody that people get on to quite a bit. So maybe I'm dead wrong, but just when you're in the limelight like that, the writers are looking for something to write about a successful guy who's been in the league a long time, and it's a national deal. You know, they're on Herb Street now, something terrible.
No.
I don't know what he said about Florida State. I didn't hear what he said, but they're on his Sandy something terrible, and you know, you got likers and you got dislikers, but your likers of people publicly can become dislikers very, very quick.
Yeah, I thought they did a good job, and they did it on the show. They did it when you went to the Georgia Tech. Is showing you how the playoffs going to work, and
complicated, Barry.
It is a little bit, the seeding of it, but if you win your league, then the highest 4 seeds will get the bye. So although a team might say Utah may win the Big 12 and they may be ranked 11, they still would slide in there at number 4.
Well, you got to play 4 games, Barry, and some got to play 3. It's my understanding, and I may be telling you wrong, but I think it's 4 games versus 3 games is the way it's set up. I didn't have a chance to study it. I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's they said it wrong that the group of 5 would always be number 12. No, if the group of 5 gets in and they're ranked 8, then they would get 8 there. So I think it helps teams like Florida State now. Obviously, losing that game like that, it still gives them hope to get back, fix some things. Where if it was a 4-team playoff, not they couldn't get themselves back, but losing to a team like Georgia Tech, who probably won't be there at the end of the year, would have been a killer for them.
Well, Georgia Tech played Georgia pretty good last year.
Yeah,
Georgia Tech got after their Fandies, and they were really well prepared, ready to play. Of course, Georgia beat them, but I think Florida State has a chance to have a decent year. It was interesting to what Max told me last night when I called him to be sure he's going to be on what they did, because that wasn't Bobby Bowden's. I don't think his personality to practice them after they got home. So it was probably my personality.
All right, this weekend, Alabama, it's a new era. For 17 years, Nick Saban was the head coach. It seems like Coach DeBoer's been here a while now. Obviously, he hasn't even coached a game. But is this first game important as to how they play? They're going to win the game, but is it important for him as to how they play, or is it not that big of a deal here? The first game in Coach DeBoer's.
Well, I think it's important. I think the defensive backs will be the key to the game. Western has a tendency to throw it a lot. They scored a lot of points. I studied them last night, trying to look at the 31 points that Alabama's favored. They scored pretty well. Now they hadn't played the competition that Alabama has, but I think it's a new defensive back. I think the coaching staff at Alabama at Western feels that way. They're trying to decide how to attack them, and I know throwing it, if you don't succeed, makes the game a little bit longer. But I think the defensive backs are a key to it. And of course, up front is big too. I had wondered if they would get caught sometime with the blitz. The one thing Coach Saban's teams did not do is that they never blitzed much. You never saw them, give up real big plays. They did that one year against Tennessee, but basically speaking, they did not.
Yeah, so we'll see how they play. I think there's a lot of excitement here for a first game. Of course, normally first games, people hadn't gotten to see Alabama football for a while, so it's usually a big crowd out there. I think it'll be a night game. It's supposed to be really hot this week. I think will help. So look for be a great crowd down there.
You think it's going to be a home field advantage?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you think the crowd will be going crazy? You think they'll be partying?
I mean, I think they'll. I don't know about going crazy. I mean, they'll dictate whatever the game dictates. Will they get frustrated if they have some turnovers and big plays? They'll see a new side of the Alabama fan. This coaching staff will. The guys that have been here before, they know what to expect, but these new guys will see a totally different Alabama fan if things start to go a little bit sideways.
They will.
All right. We want to thank Tuscaloosa Toyota. Go to TuscaloosaToyota.com. Now's a great time to get out there and get that Tundra. It's a great truck here. Great deals on that. The Camrys are really popular cars out there. They even have the 2025 Camrys in there. The RAV4 is one of the most popular cars out there on the market. 3.99 APR for 36 months. Also, the Toyota Highlander. They got the Grand Highlander, which is a great vehicle as well. If you want to rent a Toyota, decide which one you want, you can do that right there at the website. If you want to look at the new inventory, the pre-inventory schedule service, go to TuscaloosaToyota.com. All right, we'll get to Doug Bell. Next, we'll talk to Doug about this weekend over in Atlanta. We'll also get Doug to give us his 3 picks for the week. So Wyatt, we always post Doug's picks for the week. And then we keep his record. His record was absolutely atrocious last year. So hopefully he will turn over a new leaf this year. So we'll get to Doug. We'll get back from break. This is Tide 100.9 and 12:30 a.m. WTBC. It's the home of Alabama sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Intersection delays on McFarland on the eastbound lanes to Lurleen Wallace. Lurleen Wallace on the northbound ramp mainly onto McFarland. You can expect those slow goes. Now, we actually had an earlier accident on McFarland, or actually...
Now through December 28th, Castrol Edge and Edge High Mileage Motor Oil are on rollback at Walmart.
Claim based on sequence 9 test under high-load conditions versus API SP test limits.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
This will be one of the hottest weeks so far this summer. The sky mostly sunny today, the high 95. Clear tonight, the low 69. Tomorrow and Wednesday, very hot. The sky partly to mostly sunny with highs between 97 and 100. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9.
Inside the Locker Room with Wimp and Barry on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back to Inside the Locker Room. We get right to the Yellowwood Hotline. He's with PGA Tour Radio, PGA Tour Live, CBS Sports headquarters. I'm assuming he'll be over in Atlanta this weekend for the grand finale. Doug Bell. Good morning, Doug. How are you?
Hey, Barry. Hey, Coach. I'm doing great, man. What a time of year, right? College football collides with golf. Unbelievable.
Why would golf schedule this, have the biggest deal? I don't know if it's the biggest deal, but right here when college football starting, Doug?
Yeah, very great question. And up until probably 5 years ago, it collided not only with college football, but the first weekend of the NFL. And I remember being at Eastlake when the Falcons would be at home. And you'd have the final guys out there, and hardly anybody would be walking around Eastlake. So the tour tried to adjust that, and it is a long season. And because of the Olympics, the season got extended one more week, and so they will collide with the first big weekend of college football, unfortunately. And that'll affect the crowds, guys. This weekend on Saturday, Sunday at Eastlake. If you're a Scotty Scheffler fan, you could actually go out there and literally walk beside him the final round on Sunday. Certainly Saturday. Sunday there may be a little bit bigger crowd. But you're right, Barry. It's kind of bad timing, but there's nothing they can do.
Yeah. That.
Before we get to football and whatever, I think Keegan Bradley is a tough-minded, tough guy. I think for one time, or if you could, that he could be a playing captain for the Ryder Cup. I don't think he ever play, but I think he's got the ability to win and the ability to show these guys what he wants, and I think he'd be a great playing captain. I want you to correct me if I'm wrong.
No, Coach, listen, that's funny you say that because I was, I kind of go over some topics when I anticipate, coming on with you guys, and that was one I was thinking of because yesterday it was a redemption week for Keegan Bradley. Now, think about this. He was the last guy in the tournament this past week, the BMW. He was number 50 and literally was in his hotel room in Memphis and he was watching the action, and he was outside 50, inside 50, outside. And then finally, 2.5 hours later, he realized he's number 50. So he goes to Denver.
I know that. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and he's the last guy in and plays fantastic. And remember, a year ago, he won twice and got totally passed over by the Ryder Cup. Zach Johnson picked all his friends, Justin Thomas, Ricky Fowler, and he picked Jordan Spieth, all these guys who had not qualified, but they were captain's picks. Didn't go well. We lost big time in the Ryder Cup, and that really hurt Keegan's feelings. Now, this year, the PGA of America named him captain a couple of weeks ago for the upcoming Ryder Cup, and he's a vice captain on the President's Cup in a few weeks, which is the other competition in the off years. Yeah. And so now he wins. And listen, you're right, Coach. He's a tough-minded guy. And I know he feels somewhat redeemed, just kind of like, hey, JT hasn't won in more than 2 years. Jordan Spieth hasn't won in 2 years. Ricky Fowler had a terrible year after he won last year. So I'm sure Keegan is saying, listen, I think I showed you now. And listen, he's in the top. He jumps to the top 10 with an opportunity, not a great chance, but a chance to win the FedEx Cup. And so, but to get your point, yes, he'll be the captain next year, and he keeps playing well. Why not be a playing captain? Hadn't happened in a long time since I think Arnold Palmer might have been the last one. I mean, we're talking about a long time, but why not?
Yeah. I think Nick Dunlap had a great year. He will not advance, obviously, on to Atlanta, but he took home $2.8 million, I think, here in his rookie year. You think he'll end up being Rookie of the Year? He just seems to always have that one bad day or one bad stretch of holes. Yesterday, needed a really low round probably to move on to Eastlake. But just your thoughts about Nick Dunlap's year. He ended up shooting 77 yesterday, but had a great year.
Oh man, incredible year! A 20-year-old, and listen, guys, we kind of gone over the story a million times, but he goes to the American Express earlier in January. Just to have fun. I'm going to go play in a PGA Tour event. They give me a sponsor's exemption. Let's go have some fun. And then the rest of the year, he was going to play in the Masters as an amateur, U.S. Am champ. He was going to play in the British Open as the U.S. Am champ. He was going to play in the U.S. Amateur again. He was going to play, obviously, be the stalwart for the Alabama golf team. Then inexplicably he wins. And so life in warp speed changes for this young guy and his family. Signs a contract with TaylorMade. I'm sure it's worth several $1 million with bonuses kicked in that he won again, and makes the top 50, which was fantastic. So he's in all the signature events next year. And, and he will be the Rookie of the Year, Barry. There's no question. There'll be other guys that had good years, but there's no rookie that won twice.
Yeah.
So he's the winner of the Arnold Palmer Award, the PGA Tour Rookie of the Year. And I would think if you ask Nick right now, I think he would have been glad to play in Atlanta, but I think he's tired. He's a 20-year-old who played a lot more pressurized golf than he ever imagined. And I think a much-deserved break. And it'll be interesting to see if he plays at all this fall because the 8 fall events are really for guys that are trying to secure their card or improve their position for next year. And he doesn't have to because he finished inside the top 50. So I'll be interested to see if he plays at all this fall. Doesn't have to, but I would suspect he's probably going to play maybe the RSM Classic over in Sea Island, where the SEC championship is all the time. That's just before Thanksgiving. So I would suspect that maybe he'll play one time this fall.
Yeah.
I think a little bit of whatever you want to call it jumped out of Scotty a little bit. He kind of became a regular person when he played so poorly. A little bit different than he has been in the past.
Yeah, well, he's frustrated. His worst finish of the year was the U.S. Open, where he made the cut, but he finished tied for 41st, and then just cruised along, won the gold medal. Fun out. And then this week, I think what was it, T33, finished over par. So yeah, he struggled. He's human, Coach, as you know. I mean, regardless whether you're a high handicapper, a mid-level, or a pro, everybody struggles. And so right now he's struggling, and that's not a good thing. He'll go into Eastlake this week as the top guy in that stagger start. He'll be 10 under. Xander Schauffele will be 8 under. Hideki will be 7. And like JT, he'll be in that 26 to 30 category. He'll start at 4 under par. And Scotty doesn't play Eastlake really well. Never's won the FedEx Cup last 2 years. Now 3 years in a row he comes in as the top guy. And Xander Schauffele, by the way, has never shot par or worse. In the last 28 competitive rounds at Eastlake, he's broken par. So he loves the golf course. So, again, I think Xander is the pick this week to win the FedEx Cup. We'll see. Scotty, it's
what does
hard to turn that
What does Xander start at being second? 8?
8 under.
Two back. Yeah.
Back. Okay.
And you know, and it's funny when they start over there, it's kind of weird. But then as the first round finishes, you know, you post the scores and you kind of forget about the staggered start. You know, and the thing about the East Lake, the finale is that you have 30 guys, right? But realistically, only about a half a dozen, maybe the top 6 have an opportunity to win. And that's the other thing, Barry. You know, it's a college football weekend, right? And then come Sunday, you'll have maybe 6 guys with an opportunity, maybe 4, and the other guys are just playing. Like Justin Thomas basically is going there just to play 4 rounds of golf.
Yeah.
So there's no drama. So I think they need to tweak the final tournament in some capacity, whether it's maybe give everybody an opportunity to win it. You know, that's what the playoffs is all about. If you make the final 30, maybe you have a chance to win. Everybody starts the same. Or maybe have some sort of match play at the beginning, maybe the first 2 days, and maybe the top 4 guys draw buys. You know, they advance to the stroke play or something.
I got to say something before we go to football about Stuart Sink. He was at Bradshaw High School. I went to opposite high school. Florence Country Club was a very short golf course. Florence Country Club is closed now, but he practiced there all the time. His short game because he hit it so far as a young kid and all. But to come and win that, you know, we forget that he beat Tom overseas.
Tom Watson. Yeah,
Tom Watson. And so
right.
I just want to mention him before we go to football.
Yeah, his first win on PGA Tour Champions, so good for him. And he's one of those guys that has kind of gone back and forth. He still has status on the PGA Tour, so he's playing both tours. But it was great to see him win, and he looked like he was absolutely ecstatic. You know, whenever you win, it's good, no matter what, whether you're on the regular tour or the Champions Tour. These guys, they want to win. And then the other guy, Coach Bernard Langer, shot his
forever.
Yeah, he shot 65 yesterday in the final round. So, and actually, I think he's 60. He broke his age, so I thought that was pretty impressive too.
Yeah. All right, Barry.
Doug, I talked to Dad Saturday night. Said now I know how Doug feels when he picks games. He said I wanted to experience how he felt. I told him he was in trouble when you said you loved the pick. People texted me saying that wasn't a blue plate, that was a paper plate pick. So we're off to a bad start. But last year we did the same thing. He missed his exhibition game. Now somebody just told me they were going to tell their bookie that was an exhibition game, that they didn't really lose it. I told him he was on his own on that one. But college football was here, Doug. And so, I know we always let you pick 3 games each week. And so we want to keep your record. We'll tweet out. I'll have Wyatt tweet out your picks for this week, and we'll double-check the lines. But are you excited about football?
Listen, I'm fired up, guys. And you know, it's funny, Coach. Barry texted me about the blue plate, and I did think it was a great pick, by the way. And so I was staying up late to watch that crazy game, and it's so funny. Brandy walks in like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm watching. What game is it?" And I explained it. She goes, "Oh my gosh!" I said, "But it's Coach's blue plate. I got to watch it, right?"
They had 53 transfers. 53 transfers.
You could have gone to sleep at the first quarter. That blue plate was over.
It was over. 53 transfers they had. Now it was stupid enough not to check that.
Yeah.
I know.
And these losses hurt him. I texted him. He didn't even respond to me like on Saturday night.
Well, I knew when you texted me, blue plate looked bad.
Yeah.
I knew it was over. I wasn't going to respond.
I mean, Coach takes losses hard, man. He always has.
He does.
You know.
But Doug, he's 0-0. You're 0-0. It's a new year. And you always make it sound so good. Like you have really researched it. So you got 3 games this week. You want to tell us where you're going?
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, the old Gap Box podcast, OLE Gap Box.
What does that mean?
Yeah. Well
Doug always does 3 games. Doug does 3 games. You only did 1.
Yeah. And I broke down the Alabama season opener with Chip Patterson from CBS Sports HQ. So, and he knows his stuff, so it's good stuff. But anyway, here's my picks, guys, and we'll start there. Tuscaloosa, Western Kentucky rolls in. Barry, what do you have? Is it 31 still?
Let me
31.
Let me double. Go ahead. Let me
31.
Well, 31. All right. And from all indications, I mean, the practices leading up to here and the scrimmages have looked solid. Coach DeBoer, I didn't realize Coach DeBoer has all these guys that were former head coaches, super experienced coaching staff, and offensively, he's really an excellent coach, Coach DeBoer. So I think the offense is going to be just explosive, and I think they want to look good in that opening game. I think they're out to show how good they look, how good they potentially are. Western Kentucky is a good football team, but when you compare their talent to Alabama's, it doesn't stack up. I think Alabama will have the 31-point spread covered before we hit the fourth quarter. So I'm going with Alabama in those points. And I think that is really, really a solid pick here in the opening league.
Oh, Lord.
Congratulations.
Right. Take Bama minus the 31. The local bookies are happy, Doug, that you did that because all the people pick Alabama. When Alabama doesn't cover, they win big.
Yeah, well, I think this is listen. I feel super solid about this one. Now let's go. Mercedes-Benz Stadium, early kickoff Saturday. First time Clemson and Georgia have played in 3 years. Remember the game up in Charlotte was that ugly game where the defenses were just dominant. And the same scenario here. Both coaches, Dabo, Kirby, have had the entire offseason now to get ready for this game. And Clemson's defense, by the way, returns. I think I read 10 of the 11 guys who played at the end of last season. I mean, They are really, really stout. Klubnik, the quarterback, got better last season. Carson Beck, while he's the leading Heisman contender, remember the guy, Brock Bowers, who was always open? Sure. He was his go-to guy. He's in the NFL now.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you guys.
Can't throw to him. No.
Can't throw to him. I'm going with Clemson, taking the points. Barry, how many points am I getting on your board?
You're getting 13.5.
Yes. I like that. Yeah. So I think that's super solid. And so we're 2-0 right out of the gates, guys. And then lastly, how about Florida at home against Miami? Yeah. And they're a home dog. Chris Doering, by the way, who was on my podcast, the former Florida great, goes to practice. And he's not one of those guys who roots for Florida. He's realistic. The quarterback Graham Mertz has been given weapons now thanks to the transfer portal. Offensive line improved because of the transfer portal. He calls this the biggest Florida-Miami game in the modern era. He said in 50 years.
Yeah.
I mean, think about all the times they play. And he believes that Florida – and it's amazing Florida's had 3 consecutive losing seasons, guys. I mean, how does a program like Florida fall off the tracks like that? I think they get back on the track at home, big crowd, excited, haven't played Miami in a while. Cristobal, a lot of pressure on him, Mario's team. But I like the Gators with these – and no injuries right now.
Wow.
All these transfer kids. Gators at home getting some points.
They get 2.5, I think, on that right there.
2.5.
3-0. Guys, book it. like they said in Hawaii 5-0. Book it, Dano.
So you're taking Florida plus the 2.5. You got Clemson plus 13.5. Dad's never taken a team that was getting points. And then you got Bama minus 31. All right. We'll get Wyatt to tweet out and tag you on your.
You like Alabama's defensive backfield?
Well, no, that's obviously a problem, Mary. Although, listen, 4 of those kids are transfers. You have the transfer from Penn State, the transfer from West Virginia, the transfer from USC, who are all good players, by the way. And nobody's hurt.
Let me tell you a little something about Western Kentucky. South Alabama was coached last few years by who?
I can't remember the guy's name.
Defensive coordinator at Alabama.
Kane Womack. All right, he's He's the defensive coordinator at Alabama. When Western Kentucky played South Alabama in that swarm defense, they only piled up 677 yards. They passed for 522 yards on the swarm and rushed for 155 in a 44-23 shellacking of the Swarm defense in South Alabama. I'm just poking a little bit of hole in there. Maybe
I didn't know that. I don't want it.
Maybe Western Kentucky knows how to attack the Swarm defense. Or you said now Alabama's got different players in South Alabama, so that's not fair, Barry. But 677 yards they put on the Swarm.
Well, I mean, Barry, but the key is they got to get the ball. They got to get the ball back. Alabama's going to control that clock, control the ball. They're going to run it. They're going to pass it.
Oh, I mean, they're not going to throw it much and let the clock go dead.
I don't think they're going to have to throw it that much, Coach. I honestly don't.
Do you know who the quarterback is for Western Kentucky?
Well, I saw him in the quarterback.
Yeah, for Western Kentucky. Do you know who it is?
Well, I saw him play in the bowl game last year, and he's pretty darn good.
TJ Finley.
Oh, yeah. He's terrible. Yeah. He's terrible.
TJ Finley. He's only elusive when he's on a moped.
That's right. He's 6'10".
I'm telling you guys, before they sing whatever they sing now before the fourth quarter, I guess they kind of bounce back between songs sometimes. But before they sing that song for the whole stadium, Alabama will have that 31-point spread covered.
Really?
But there's a backdoor cover on that, Doug. So they better have it way covered. Will Ty Simpson get any burn this weekend, Doug?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think he'll play. Probably in the fourth quarter when they're up by 38 points.
Ooh.
Yeah. I'm just telling you, I'm confident. And, oh, by the way, in that Clemson-Georgia game, the over-under, I think, was 48 or 49. And I like the under in that game, too. I'm just saying. I know we're only going to post 3. But I was listen, guys. I do a lot of study. I do a lot of homework for these games.
The over-under in that game
you do a lot of homework, but it ain't these games.
49.5 is the over-under.
49. Yeah, I like the under. Yeah, I like the under in that game too.
Yeah, you do a lot of homework. Ain't no doubt about it.
I'm always working, guys.
You're always working. You got that. I got that.
All right. So Bama minus 31, Clemson plus 13.5, and you're taking the Gators at home. 2.5. I usually tell you I like your picks. I'm not going. I don't know if I do or I don't. I'm just going to watch them. I'm going to watch them.
It's first week, guys. First week we start. The slate is clean. Remember last year? Yeah, we suffered a little bit. I got
you suffered more than a little bit, but
I think I won a little bit towards the end of the season. But anyway, that was last year. We don't look back. We only look forward, guys.
That's right. Don't look back. Just after your golf shot, just don't look back while you hit it bad. Just go and play.
Yeah, I mean that's what the great Satchel Paige used to always say. Don't ever look back. Somebody might be gaining on you.
That's right.
Never looking back.
I saw Satchel Paige pitch one time.
There you go, Doug.
I know you did.
Doug, are you going to Atlanta?
Yes, I'll be at East Lake. Looking forward to that. And so next Monday we'll have the full report on who wins the FedEx Cup, and I really believe I know how golf is. It's hard to hit that switch. I think Xander's going to walk away with the FedEx Cup. But again, if Scotty wins the FedEx Cup, guys, he'll have won for the year. His total earnings will be close to $50 million.
He's not going to win the FedEx Cup.
Yeah, but if he does, I mean and he has set the money record every year now, the last 2 years. And he's already going to break it this year, regardless how he finishes, because he'll finish somewhere in the top. But he.
Were you surprised that JT got in? He was on the way back home when he got in.
Yeah, well, I mean that's just the way the crazy computer spat it out. And good for Justin. Listen, he hasn't won in more than 2 years, and last year was a bad year. Didn't even make the playoffs. So I'm glad he's on the road to recovery. He's playing better, and all those guys will tell you at the beginning of the year when they're in Hawaii, they want to finish in the top 30. That's the goal. I mean, regardless of winning here, there, everywhere, if I can get to East Lake, that is a big deal because you're one of 30, and so I think Justin's got to be proud of himself. Even though, again, as he tees it up on Thursday, he'll have no chance of winning. He's literally going to be playing 4 rounds of just exhibition golf. Now, these guys are competitive. I know he wants to play really well, but he starts at 4 under par. He starts 6 shots back of Scotty Scheffler.
So,
all right, Doug, tell them about MD Wellness and Aesthetics. We've got your picks tweeted out. It says your record, you'll never see this again, is 500, 0-0. So I'm not used to seeing the 500 record by your name. So we'll see what happens next week. And you'll get praise or abuse next week.
I love the positivity.
Yeah.
I love it, guys. I love it.
Tell
Because I'm
them
Mr.
MD
Positive.
Wellness and Aesthetics before we get out.
205-582-9216, MD Wellness and Aesthetics, mdwellnessandaesthetics.com. It's 650 Inverness Corners in Birmingham. Susan Brignett is the owner, and as we embark on football season, she's a huge football fan, listens to you guys, listens to my picks, by the way. Give her a call, and she'll tell you all about skin care, hair care, weight loss. They do it all right there, and it's a free consultation, mdwellnessandaesthetics.com.
Thank you, Doug.
Thanks, Doug.
All right, fellas. Talk to you next week.
All right, let's tell them about Bryant Bank, and we'll get to break.
Well, when you go at Bryant Bank, you go with the people who know you, love you, care for you, and want to help you. I think that's a big key, those three adjectives there. And Bryant Bank is big in Tuscaloosa, but it's big in Birmingham as well. I'm a big member of Bryant Bank, and Bryant Bank is throughout the state. Columbia has a bank as I go through there. And Bryant Bank will do everything they possibly can. Not only will the banker be a banker that you know, but it'll also do everything they possibly can to make things good for you. Bank online, around the clock, which will give you the freedom and flexibility to sort of bank the way you want to. The people around the Bryant Bank, they try to do everything they can to help the people in the community. Same area code, same number, just about every place except Mobile. And the sad part about also businesses and things that they put their money in banks is that sometimes people come out, they targeted that money, and fraud attempts occur. It won't happen at Bryant Bank. Bryant Bank will be on top of things. They'll know what's going on. They'll be very good to let you know exactly where you stand with your money, and your money's big to you. So you may have two accounts there. You may have a personal and also a business account. But Bryant Bank is the place to go. Go by, tell them you heard on Inside the Locker Room, and I think you'll be well pleased.
It's the Tide 100.9. It's the home of Alabama Sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. I'm seeing where we picked up a crash on 69, and this is on the northbound lanes right at Mimosa Park Road. So traffic is a little on the slower side, and you've also got some southbound onlooker delays as well. And we're also dealing with a fender bender on Old Birmingham.
There's everything you need to get ready for a fall refresh. Get your home crisp, clean, and ready for the season with the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Free delivery on over 2 million items subject to availability.
For more from Tide 100.9,
lets it fly, and there's it.
Whoa. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and SoundCloud.
Welcome back to Inside the Locker Room. So this year I was just talking with Wyatt. Alabama's practicing. They probably should hit the field here in a minute or two. Normally, when Coach Saban was coaching, obviously they didn't practice the afternoon. Mondays were his big press conference at noon. He would come in and normally kind of talk about the team, about the upcoming game. He would always make the team sound that they were playing. He would make them sound like the Green Bay Packers. And then he'd have another press conference on Wednesday. It sounds like Coach DeBoer's only doing one. He'll do one today after practice. The two coordinators will be available for the media. I think Wyatt said the coordinators will be available on Wednesday. Coach has his show on Wednesday, but he's only doing one press conference during the week. So obviously you can pick up his show, and then so you'll hear from him on Mondays and then the show on Wednesday. So just another difference there where Coach, we kind of set the stage on Mondays. It's just another way to do it with the media, with this new staff.
Well, I'm hoping that Wyatt and I know Chase is out today, and I want to talk to Wyatt after the show. We'll be able to get those press conferences rather than have a second guest. We always have one guest, and tomorrow I'm hoping to have Orlando tomorrow. What's his name?
Kevin.
Anyway, so we got Kevin, but I also got defensive. The guy that's really good on ESPN, our buddy.
Roman Harper.
Yeah, Roman Harper.
Yeah.
got Roman Harper supposed to be on tomorrow at 8:30. At 8:15. I've got to call him again, but I like for us to get these coordinators on. I don't care if you've heard them before on other shows. I think it's good for people that have not heard them to enjoy it. So that's my plan. We'll keep the same guests that we've been having, and try to do a show that's up to date for you as much as we possibly can. So nothing like the coordinators being able, although I don't think it's great for them, I think it's great for us, and hopefully we can get that done. So
yeah. So tomorrow, we'll have some Coach DeBoer tomorrow, the quarter, but it's just different. So it's game week. We're normal. The Coach Saban, and we would carry his press conference live. That won't happen this year because it's totally different. All right, we'll take this last break and come back and wrap up the show. You're listening to Tide 100.9. It's the home of Alabama sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. I'm seeing where we've picked up a crash on 69, and this is on the northbound lanes right at Mimosa Park Road. So traffic is a little on the slower side, and you've also got some southbound onlooker delays as well. And we're also dealing with a fender bender on Old Birmingham Highway.
When you order. So whatever the size of your appetite,
there's always something delicious waiting for you here at Taco Casa.
Taco Casa, under the biggest cactus in town.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
This will be one of the hottest weeks so far this summer. The sky mostly sunny today, the high 95. Clear tonight, the low 69. Tomorrow and Wednesday, very hot. The sky partly to mostly sunny with highs between 97 and 100. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9.
You're listening to Inside the Locker Room with Wimp and Barry, only on Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Well, welcome back to Inside the Locker Room. We'll be interested to see. I know this was always the day that Coach handed out the depth chart, and if it was close, it had or slash or whatever. I know Coach will meet with the media today where they hand out a depth chart today for the media to overanalyze, and for us to all of us to overanalyze and pour over. Dad, would you hand out one if you were Coach DeBoer there? I mean, people eventually, I guess, get there, but with the portal, all the different things that go on now, I don't know that you even want to make all that stuff public, because it lets the other schools look at it and say, oh, this guy may end up being unhappy. Coach talked about people tampering with their players after he retired.
The only problem, Barry, is it gets the media down on you. And I don't know whether that's, I'm asking you, I don't know if it's good or bad, but it gets the media down on you. They need something to write about, something to complain about, and I don't know how to answer your question. I'm not sure. You may say to me, Dad, it don't make any difference whether the media's down on you or not. I just think they, especially if you don't do great your first game, and I don't know what doing great is. I guess beating the line. I don't know. But
there's just coaches across the country that will look at these depth charts, and then when they see why that a kid's not on there, then they call their high school coach. Right. How's it going over here at Bama? Is he happy? Yeah. Hey, if things continue to go wrong, hey, we're losing our starting whatever. Next year there'll be a spot there. So there'll be that stuff will be going on. All the time.
Can you imagine, Coach, what Coach said? How many people are in Tuscaloosa waiting on somebody to transfer? It's not. He said that on the show on the thing Saturday.
Yeah, that was in relation to the coach from Miami of Ohio talking about the punter being tampered with by Alabama. And I don't know.
It's not like that, but it was a scenario.
But I don't know if the compliance office, are they obligated to look into that? The guy makes an accusation like that. I don't know. All right, that's it for today's show. We'll get out of here and make way for the Gary Harris Show. We appreciate Max Howell joining us. So football's back with Max. We got Doug's picks in. do what you want to with those picks. If you bet against Doug on every pick last year, you would be driving a Mercedes in the lot here at Wyatt. You listen to Tide 100.9. It's the home of Alabama sports. Have a great day, everybody.